Hey folks, Matt Sharp here with another Pacific Angler Friday Fishing Report. We're filming for November 12th, so if it's nowhere near November 12th, click up here. This is a link to all the Friday Fishing Reports. We do it most weeks, so I should have something up to date for you. This week we got to talk about the weather, because it's been wet and then not wet and supposed to be wet and maybe not supposed to be wet. The weatherman was a little bit off his game this week leading into Remembrance Day and the weekend coming up here. And I want to talk about it because it's really going to dictate getting out on the water if you guys are river fishermen. We're going to look at all the major systems. We're going to look at the Squamish. We're going to look at the Vedder. We're going to look at the Harrison, because there's still some great options to get out there when it comes to fishing. Now we are going to talk about the chum because, as you guys all know if you've been following the channel, we are closed for chum targeting or retention. And unfortunately, there still seems to be some gillnets in the Fraser River, which doesn't make much sense under the current circumstance where there are not enough chum. Now, we're also going to talk a little bit about steelhead, and we're going to start off with a steelhead fly because steelhead season is almost upon us. It's still a little early, but we might start hearing the first whisperings of steelhead on the Vedder River. And with that in mind, I've got a fly from Andre, which is a fun one, and I'm also going to share a couple other flies that you guys might want to put in your box if you're getting out for steelhead. As always, you want to see more reports like this, consider hitting the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let's get into it. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in with me this weekend. Cheers to Remembrance Day. I'm filming actually Wednesday night because I'm going fishing on Thursday and I couldn't put the report together for you, but cheers either way to Friday. What have we got for you this week? Well, let's start off with weather because we've been watching it really closely here at the shop and it's been interesting. The water that was predicted to come maybe hasn't come. We've seen river levels dropping substantially coming into Wednesday as I'm filming this, but you guys are going to be watching this Friday and there is some interesting stuff on the horizon if you're planning to get out. And we'll start off with Vancouver right here. And on Thursday, the day before you guys are seeing this, we're forecast for a substantial dump of rain, 25 to 30 millimeters. Throw it out to something fishery related. Squamish is a similar story, 25 to 30. And I think there's no creativity in the world right now. Oh, and we're going to go Chilliwack, and it's got, yep, 25 to 30. So 25 to 30 right across the board for the more lower mainland. And that's kind of rare. Usually you see a little bit more up the Squamish way and a little less up the Valley way. And because of that, well, the Squamish can usually take a little bit more water. It comes right off the mountains, so a lot more of it turns into snow at the higher elevations than we do see in Chilliwack. So I'm not as concerned for the Squamish when we look at river levels. I'm actually planning on going out day before you see this on Remembrance Day and hopefully to target some egg eaters, and the reports there have been excellent. But let's look at those water levels before we get too far ahead of ourselves. And so when we pull up the Squamish, here she is, you can see that she blew out pretty hard on the sort of 5th range of the month, and we canceled a bunch of trips. I hope you guys weren't out then, but it came into shape quite nicely sort of in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. And we had some really good reports. We had reports of the egg eaters, and what do I mean by that? Well, I mean the bull trout, the rainbows. This rainbow is a stunning example. There's some big fish up there if you know how and where to target them, where guys are using beads either on fly rods or on float fishing rods, and it can be quite successful for a mixed bag. You can actually get coho doing this as well. And the Squamish is a late coho fishery, so if you're looking for a spot to get out and target some late coho, it's all catch and release for the wild fish that mostly are predominant in the Squamish system, but it looks pretty good. Now, when we look at 25 to 30 on this system, usually that's going to spike up, but we want to throw it back to the temperatures, and you can see it's reasonably warm on Thursday night, but Wednesday night's quite cold. And so for me, at least, getting out fishing on Thursday, I got my fingers crossed. I'm going to watch this carefully, but I think it should be good fishing on Thursday. I think we'll see a noticeable rise, but I think rolling into the weekend, you should see some excellent conditions, and it should be well worth getting out. Now, roll it around to the Chilliwack River, and she's doing almost the similar thing on a hard drop, and the reports haven't been great because we're kind of getting late in the season. Now, lots of friends got out and got fresh coho still. It's still worth getting out, but it's not in prime time anymore. We're well past that. We're going to start talking about maybe the first steelhead showing up, usually back end of this month, early December. But that fishery really kicks off in the new year. So you might hang up the rods if you're a Vedder angler. Now flip it around to the Sloughs and the Harrison. So this is also another system that's a little bit later and well worth looking at this time of year for coho. And the reports have been decent. There have been some water level issues. Access is still a little bit hard. The river's still high, but she is coming down with the colder nights. And if you guys are looking to get out in the valley, that would be my recommendation, is look to the Sloughs, look to the back channels, as well as to the Harrison main stem, because there should be some good opportunity this weekend if you're planning on getting out. Okay. What else do I got for you guys? Well, in the written report, we have a big saltwater update. The winter Chinook fishing has actually been really good, surprisingly so. And Jason's got an update there to tell you what to look for, how to target them. If you want to get out, maybe you haven't seen the boat in a while, it's well worth it. I'm definitely seeing one of the better early winter Chinook seasons out in the saltwater front. We also have the Capilano to talk about. It is slowing down. We're past the major time there. We have heard again reports of snaggers up there that way targeting fish that aren't really biting, so I want you guys to be darned careful when it comes to that. Do not be snagging fish. That's not the proper way to target them. But I would also hang up the rods for a little bit if you are a Capilano angler heading out that direction. All right, last but not least, let's talk steelhead. Now, I know it's early. It's something we all get excited for and probably think about too early. We should hear the first reports coming off the Chilliwack Vedder in the next little bit. It's one of the first systems to get steelhead, but quite honestly, things won't ramp up until the new year, and then pushing much farther out when it comes to the Squamish or other systems. But it isn't a bad idea to start getting ready now, and with that in mind, Andre's got a fly for us this week, and it is a cool combination, of sort of a general practitioner, a popsicle, taking some old school patterns, blending them all together, and he's calling it the Marabou Spay. It's a cool one, well worth putting in your box, something that he's fished for years to noticeable success. And with that in mind, I'm going to put it up here, and I'm also going to put my go-to Steelhead Fly down here if you guys are putting a box together, something to do if you're not getting out and it's rainy. As always, you guys want to see more reports like this, consider hitting the like button, hit the subscribe button, make sure you check out the written version of the report, and we'll catch you in 2 weeks.